Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn, and we're back at the Tamworth soccer field to check out this drone, the Potensic ATOM 2, an improvement over the Atom in 1,000 different ways, and we're going to check it out right now. So here it is, the Potensic ATOM 2. Below 250 grams, which in many countries means you avoid a lot of the restrictive elements of drone regulations. That said, I urge you with this drone, as with any drone, to be extremely careful. Don't be doing anything stupid. Stay back from people, that kind of thing. And then you won't get yourself into trouble and bring more regulations upon all of us. So, back to the show. So, camera-wise, this drone has a 4K camera, half-inch sensor, so I'm expecting some really nice video out of this. It's a stabilized 3-axis gimbal. That should be good. The other thing they've improved in this, amongst like a million new features, is that the communications software and structure between the controller and the drone is improved. They're claiming a 10-kilometer range. Now, I'm not going to test that, and I hope nobody tries to fly this little tiny drone 10 kilometers from them. But the important thing is that means that the communications protocol and the communications link to the drone is going to be strong enough to overcome electronic interference, all sorts of interference like that. So that's a good thing, because you don't want to lose the connection to your drone. The other thing that's really important that they've added to this is a whole bunch of, okay, I hate to say it, AI features. I like to call it good engineering, but a lot of AI features into this drone, and we're going to check those out later as well. So here's everything that comes in the Potensic ATOM 2 flymore drone bundle kit. It's an amazing amount of stuff. In fact, I'll just share this little tidbit. As I was pulling the things out of the bag, everything's packaged very neatly and tidily in this shoulder bag, which is a great shoulder bag, by the way. I actually wondered if the drone was even in there, because it was the last thing I encountered when I was opening the package up. So let's start with that drone. So here's the Potensic ATOM 2. I've got it unfolded, but it all folds up. There's a gimbal guard that covers the 3-axis gimbal here. When you take it out of the kit, one of the 3 batteries is actually in there, and also in the drone is a 128 gig micro SD card. What a great thing to include in the flymore kit. That is really handy. That's where all of your videos and pictures get stored when you're flying the drone. So that is very cool. Nice touch to include the micro SD card. So also with the drone is a strap that goes around it to protect the propellers and arms when it's in the bag. Now, next up is the controller. This controller takes phones in this area here. You pull it out, and believe it or not, my enormous Pixel 9 Pro phone, Pixel 9 Pro XL for extra huge, actually fits in there very nicely. In fact, there's even a little bit of wiggle room. So that's where your phone goes in the controller. And now I should have done this before I put it in there, but there is a connection cable that goes between your phone and the controller. They include one for iPhones, so there's a Lightning connection and a USB-C for Android devices or more modern iPhones. All right, the controller is actually rechargeable, and there's the cable for that. That cable can plug into any USB-A power source, including one that's actually on the power hub here. So this is the 3 battery, and all 3 batteries come with this kit. Great kit, always a good idea to get the flymore kit with these drones. This is actually a parallel charging kit. So when you plug this in, this is the power brick for the charging hub. You plug that in, all 3 batteries will charge all at the same time. And on there you can see these lights. Those are showing as it's charging, so you know how full it is or how empty it is. All right, so that comes in the kit. Also in the kit is a screwdriver and a bunch of screws in case you have a broken propeller. Let's hope not. But the good news is they actually provide you spare propellers, 4 complete sets of spare propellers. What an amazing deal that is to include all that. Last but not least, there are instructions. This is a quick start guide. I strongly recommend you go through that. It's very comprehensive and very nice. It includes a QR code to download the Potensic Eve app that you use to control this drone. And there's other little instructions and disclaimers and so forth. Oh yes, and if you're into stickers, there is a number of stickers as well. Something I forgot to mention is an amazing feature to include in this flymore kit, and that is a neck strap and associated little pegs that screw into these spots here. A neck strap for your controller. What a great idea. I have neck straps for my other drone controllers, and it's terrific because then when you are dealing with your drone, you don't have to put this down. It just dangles from your neck, and it's wonderful. So that's everything that comes in the flymore kit for the Potensic ATOM 2. So yeah, let's launch this thing. Okay, so let's see how this thing starts. And of course, just as I'm starting to recording, the lawnmower guys start in the distance. Never fails. Anyway, so make sure you have the gimbal guard removed. Make sure your battery is fully charged and the little catch there that holds the battery in place is popped out and fully there. You don't want that battery to drop out. So to turn on the drone, it's a 2-second press on the button on the bottom. It'll start beeping away. You do the same thing for the controller. I've got my controller hooked into my phone. And the app, you can set the app to start automatically. One little tip, sorry, left this out. This is what they call the gimbal guard. It's an elasticized Velcro strip. This is awful. Do not use this. Either your drone's gonna get wrecked or the props will get wrecked on it. This thing is supposed to protect the drone when it's folded up in the case. It's not good. It's too tight. It gets caught on everything. I don't know what to use instead, but just try to be really careful with your props when they're folded up in the case. Don't use this thing. So anyway, when you load the app and get it all going, this is the new Potensic Eve app. This is they've done 1,000 different improvements to this, so it's really, really good. I'll just point out on the opening screen here, there is an Academy feature here that has lots of videos in terms of quick start guide, the intelligent flight modes, all sorts of good things. These are good videos. Please watch them if you're new to drones or if you're new to this particular drone. They also give you direct access to the user manual and frequently asked questions. This Academy feature is actually very, very good. So once you are ready to go, we hit fly now. It's indicated that it has enough GPS satellites to start. It says takeoff permitted. We can see that the camera view has already started.
IMU in preparation.
Now this is something that's a bit annoying for sure. Anytime you pick this drone up,
IMU in preparation.
I don't know whether you could hear that, but it says IMU in preparation, and it puts up a little red thing there. That's basically saying it's IMU, which is the inertia management system, inertia measurement. Anyway, it's basically the business that knows inside here that knows when the drone has moved and it's controlling the drone, but it's detecting the fact that I've picked it up.
IMU in preparation.
And gives that IMU in preparation sound. Not a good error message. I think they should improve that, but that's what that means. Don't panic when you see that message. If this is your first time flying, and this is not for me, but I will show you anyway, go to the 3 dots, go to calibration on the menu, do a compass calibration. You don't need to do this every flight, but any time that you've moved significantly, like if you've gone, say, 50 kilometers from your last flight area, this is a good idea, a really good idea. Hit start calibration, and it will prompt you through the steps. It wants
IMU in preparation.
It wants you to rotate the drone horizontally first, and then vertically with the nose up. And just follow the prompts. Might take a few turns. There we go. And it says it's all good to go.
IMU in preparation.
And then, of course, it tells you that the IMU is in preparation. So we'll go leave that calibration screen. and go back to flight mode. A couple of things I want to point out on here. So I've added the camera grid lines. I find that good for when I'm flying. I want to keep the horizon on one of these lines here, for example. You have a map view down here. If you tap that, you can see the area you're flying. I find that extremely useful. You can zoom in on it. You can see that I'm right here at the edge of the soccer field. You can change the layers, so if that's too complicated, then you can change that. And a simple tap brings you back to the camera view. Very, very nice. And by the way, there is a setting somewhere in here that will allow you to turn on or off these little text prompts that show along the bottom. That is quite handy if you're a beginner. Also, I have taken myself out of beginner mode. There's a safety thing here. You can see there's a beginner mode. When you're in beginner mode, it limits your distance, your altitude, and your speed. So that's good. That's a good safety feature, but I'm going to turn that off right now. And I'm going to make sure that my speed settings, I'm going to put it on normal. You can do that also from the controller. And I've got my return to home things set to return to my launch place if a signal is lost. And I've got my return altitude, it seems to set itself to 60. I want it at 40 meters. And my other settings are fine. By the way, this is a nice feature. I think I commented on this on the last video, that when it's doing the return to home, it emits a continuous and annoying beeping sound, and you can actually turn that off. Thank you. Nice feature. All right, that's enough with the settings. Let's launch this thing. Okay, so we're ready to take off. There's a couple of options, but first thing, I'm going to start the video recording, otherwise I'll forget. I want to point out one thing. Under the safety features, there is on the menu, there's a takeoff with one hand feature. And it's by default turned off. Turn it on. That is such a cool feature that they've added. It allows you to do a hand launch. Now I'm not going to do a hand launch, but I will use that to fly the drone. But it also supports the classic joysticks in and down.
Takeoff.
Launch, it starts up the propellers and you can go from there. That's the way I prefer to do it. And if a second one of those stops the propellers instantly, that's very good. So let's do the single-handed takeoff. You hold down the C1 button, and by the way, they've added these C1 and C2 buttons on here. These are configurable buttons. There's all sorts of options that you can do. By default, C1 is set to knock the gimbal straight down, and C2 is, I don't remember what that is. But anyway, the fact that they've added so many of these terrific customizations and features to the controller, I think that's tremendous. So C1 and joystick left down, 2-second hold.
Takeoff.
Whoops, I think I let go a little too fast. So C1 and joystick down. I'm just going to move back a little bit. I don't like propellers in my face. 2-second hold.
Takeoff.
You release, and up it goes.
The home point has been refreshed.
So the first thing I like to do when I'm testing out a new drone is to launch it, put it just a little bit above head level just in case, and let it sit there. Now, today we've got a wind of about between 10 and 15 kilometers per hour. It's gusty. It's worse up a little higher, but down here it's just kind of a light breeze. You can see that, you might be able to see that the leaves are barely moving, but it does come up every once in a while. But check that drone out. That is sitting there just perfectly. So the next thing I like to do is to make a little box pattern. So I'm going to fly forward. Nice stable flight. Go to the left. Let it stop. It did drift a little bit there at the end. It's got a bit of a braking thing happening there, like it slows down after you released the joystick. So I'm going to bring it back in front of me. Very nice flight. The yaw is very nice. The picture on the screen is crisp and bright. Beautiful colors, absolutely stable. Even though that drone is flying all over the place. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So the drone is bouncing a little bit, but the image on the screen is absolutely rock solid. Just gonna roll that gimbal down. Nice smooth gimbal moves. There I am, and as usual, when you see a drone, you have to wave happily. And yeah, I'm impressed. So let's turn her around. I'm going to take it up a little bit and roar down to the other end of the field. So this is on normal speed mode. Nice job. And by the way, I'm just going to pause for a second. Give a shout out to the guy doing the lawn mowing. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. Thanks for being in my video, lawnmower guy. Oh, the right-hand wheel actually does a zoom in. Two times zoom. We're in 4K mode. So my battery is at 53%, and it gives a little countdown in the top right corner of how much time you have left before the battery will be expired. So I've got 10 minutes left. Now I've been flying around a little bit just to get used to it here. And there's a lovely view of the local cemetery. People are dying to get in there. Oh my God, I'm doing dad jokes on drone reviews now. Taking it up, I'm now at 52 meters. And come back across. The bottom of the screen there, it's giving a continuous readout of little tips. You can turn those off, but I think if you're a new flyer, those tips would be very handy for you. I've got it in automatic camera mode right now, so the exposure settings are automatic. I think it's doing a great job. At least on the screen, it's looking beautiful. So yeah, so we're going to bring her back. We're going to do a manual landing. I'm going to press the C1 button to give me a straight down view. Actually, I did it once, gives you straight level. And the second click of that C1 button, in its default configuration at least, gives you a straight down view. Very handy when you're landing. So I'm just going to center that landing pad there and bring her down in a manual landing. Sorry, that's not the drone, that's just me. I was looking around. Easily distracted.
Landing.
So we're going to do two tests now. We're going to take it down to the end of the field and do a return to home, an automatic return to home, and see how well it lands on the launch pad. How close can it get? So we'll turn the video on again, and this time we'll do a more traditional start with the joysticks down and in. I'm going to stand back as usual because I've already shaved this morning.
The home point has been refreshed.
Now, one thing is, this drone does not have any obstacle sensors. So you have to keep an eye on it, you have to know where it is, and you don't want to do anything silly. Return to home is on the controller, a long press on that H.
Return.
And you can hear the beeping. It does come up with a thing that says press the power button once on the remote to stop the current return beeping. There. Anyway, in the meantime, it has gone up to 40 meters. And it is, I've lost sight of it, damn it. Oh, there it is. It's flying rapidly overhead. It is going to land on my camera. Well, not bad. Not bad. It ended up landing maybe, well, within a meter of its launch site. So not too terribly bad, honestly. So that's great. The next thing we're going to try is a couple of these intelligent flight modes. So let's get ready for that. So in order to do any of these intelligent flight modes, you need to have the drone over 4 meters up and pointing at the object that you want to track or circle around or whatever. And all you do is use your finger on the screen to draw a little box around the object, for example, myself. And when you do that, the AI or intelligent flight modes come up in 2 categories: quick shots, which are things like circling or boomerang, and AI tracking. So the AI tracking was the first one I did. And so at a walking pace in an open field, it worked absolutely flawlessly. Followed me around, I could make little corners and ran a little bit, and everything was fine. It worked perfectly. So after that, I did some of the quick shots, the boomerang and the circle, and again, they worked flawlessly. They were easy to set up, and yeah, everything worked fantastically. So yeah, the Potensic ATOM 2 drone, it's flying right there behind me, rock solid in this pretty windy condition right now. The camera on it is awesome. The flight is rock solid. The controller, beautiful to use, holds big phones, nice feel to it, lots of functionality on here, on the app. They've added a ton of features, the AI features like the tracking and the spirals and all those quick shots and things. Fantastic features. The one-handed thing is a very good add. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the Potensic ATOM 2 if you're looking for a drone, a starter drone. It does not have obstacle avoidance, any sort of sensors on it. So that's the one downside, or one, I'll say, deficiency. But at this price range, with this amount of stability, I think it's still a very good buy. And I mean, the only other complaint I have is the Velcro strap that holds the propellers in place. And so when that's your only big complaint, you know you got a good drone on your hands. Potensic ATOM 2. Check it out. There's a link in the description below.